Robin, good afternoon to you and welcome. Very briefly, the background. What are you trying to achieve with this case?
So some background to the case itself is that two environmental rights groups brought a case in the Pretoria High Court last year around the levels of air pollution in the Highveld priority area. They're saying that the levels of air pollution are so bad that they are infringing on people's constitutional right to a clean environment. And they're trying to force government to take steps to try reverse this. What we're trying to do is that we are representing, as you say, David Boyd, who is essentially an expert watchdog for the United Nations on the right around human rights and the environment. And what he wants to do is that he wants to be able to present expert evidence to the court to try and guide their decision around two things, really. South Africa's, the states, what they need to do on an international level, but also what the kinds of health impacts can be of air pollution levels that are quite this high.
In fact, it's one, I read, of the deadliest environmental problems in the world today. And the perpetrators are well known. All of this, of course, has been well documented, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in this area, as you say, there's this Highveld priority area, and in Mpumalanga in particular, some of the worst air pollution in the world. And what David Boyd showed is that air pollution is one of the biggest killers of pollution in the world. And as you say, it's coal. That's the problem in this area. This area produces and uses 80% of the coal in South Africa, which is causing what the applicants are calling toxic air.
Do we have a quantification of death figures as far as the communities are concerned? Have those numbers been run?
They have. They haven't been for a number of years now. It's quite difficult to get hold of these figures and to attribute it to air pollution in particular. But the applicants in the main application have shown, for example, that in 2017, there were upwards of 19,000 deaths in South Africa caused by air pollution alone. And the other scary thing about this figure is that that air pollution mostly targets children and old people and poor people, which is majority of the people in this area that we're talking about.
People there are at risk right now as a result of this, and exacerbated even more so, I imagine, given the COVID pandemic that we're currently experiencing. It makes this case all the more urgent, doesn't it?
Exactly, absolutely. I mean, the comorbidities caused by this level of air pollution would mean that the effects of COVID would be that much greater.
So when this goes to court, what sort of response then would you be expecting from the South African government? I think what I'm asking is this shaping up to be a real fight?
Yes, absolutely. Although, interestingly, the state hasn't opposed our application to be admitted as amicus. I mean, I think it might look quite bad on their part if they had opposed it, but the special rapporteur's admission as amicus, which is going to be heard this week, was not actually opposed by the state. But I certainly think they're going to put up a big fight when it comes to the main application, which hasn't been set down yet, but is probably going to be heard at the beginning of next year.
All right, we'll check in with you a little later on this story as we continue to follow it. Robin Lenahan, thank you, from the Environmental Right Programme at Lawyers for Human Rights.